We'll find a way.
I'm calling Uncle Harlow. I'm calling in the family favor.
Haven't heard that in a while.
These are desperate times.
You're assuming he'll remember you.
That's amusing.
And you think he'll talk to you?
I know he will. And he'll know why I called. And he'll respect me for having waited so long in asking and being so prudent about my request.
What is it you'll be asking for?
Someone who'll take you on, Cyril.
Setting the bar high, are we?
Uncle Harlow will know what's best.
All right. Hey, everybody. We are doing another Star Wars review, and I'm actually surprised. I had heard positive reviews about Andor in the past, and I overlooked it. And then I wound up watching every terrible Star Wars show for some reason, and then not watching the one show that was supposed to be good. Now, my reason for that, from what I remember and how I still remember it, I didn't really enjoy Rogue One. Spoilers for Rogue One. I only enjoyed that ending credit scene where Darth Vader shows up and kills everybody, and that was about it. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't like the story. I didn't really care to continue that whole saga by any means. So when Andor came out, I was like, I don't care. And now I feel kind of stupid for not watching it, because it's probably the one show that's been decent the whole way through. The show is very much kind of, I don't know what you would call it. The whole way across, it's gritty. We start with Cassian, who, if you hadn't seen Rogue One, he's a rebel, and he is, I don't remember how they classified him in the movie, if I'm being honest. Again, spoilers for Andor. I'm going to be spoiling the show the whole way through, so just, if you haven't seen it, please save this video for later, come back, and yeah, you can hear all of my gripes and how much I like the show or don't like it and all that jazz. But I do like it, so, you know, come back to hear a glowing review, I guess. But in this show, we see him and he's looking for his sister. And while looking for his sister, he finds himself coming across two guards who are also in this club, and they start trouble with him. And one thing leads to another. They follow him out of the club. A fight breaks out. He pushes a guard over. That guard falls and dies in the fall. And Cassian has one of the guard's guns, and the other guard's like on his knees, and he's like begging, like, look, we could turn yourself in, and we'll say, like, you know, it was an accident. I'll vouch for you and all this stuff. And this is like right when Andor sets apart, like, this is not your typical Star Wars show, because he executes that guard right there on the spot. And I was kind of like, okay, this has got me so far. So the only thing I didn't like in the early episodes are the flashbacks, and the flashbacks just kind of break the rhythm for me. I understand their importance, and I understand how they play into the show. So I think what they could have done here was take all of the flashback scenes, just glom it all up into one thing, and then either before the fight at the club, as like the opening, you have that, or right after. And probably maybe after the brothel scene or the club scene, have just that one big flashback and then get it out of the way. Because I understand, like, the opening scene with him killing the guard is kind of like the tone setter of like, oh, this is the kind of show you're getting into. And I love that. So obviously, I'm not trying to make like an hour or 30-minute long YouTube video just going into every little detail, but I'll try to be as brief as possible with like my different points and things that I loved and didn't love. So I love all the characters. Just starting right off the bat with Cassian. Cassian is a very fun character to follow, because unlike our typical protagonist that we get in Star Wars now, everything and anything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong for this man. Don't get me wrong, he gets lucky, but when he gets lucky, you're happy for him. It's believable, and you're just kind of like, you just let out like a sigh. You're just like, oh, thank God. Because he just, man, talk about not being able to get a break. Like, he just has rotten luck. At one point, and one of my favorite things too with his story is when he's not being a rebel and he's not trying to get arrested, he's not doing anything like shiesty, that's when he gets arrested. And it's so ironic. Like, he's doing nothing, and something happens in the story basically where the Empire ramps up its punishments. So what winds up happening is something that he would have just got a slap on the wrist for winds up sending him to prison for like 6 years. So then he goes to prison, and I was thinking, okay, is this where it's going to happen? Is this where like the show's going to be like, okay, he's going to be suddenly super smart and get out of it and all this stuff. And like, he's going to be the best of the best. And no.
No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened.
He stays in prison for damn near the whole show. He really gets stuck in there. And the one thing I like too is like their way of showing him learning the process is him standing there and watching. I've been in that position when I was in the military where you just kind of like stand there and watch people do it and you're like trying to take it in as much as possible, but you got to hit the bricks running like as soon as they, you know, they throw you into the pot. So watching him do that and then going back and like adjusting to the food, learning like cold floor, hot floor, all that jazz on program, right? Like all that stuff. So cool. And when he grows in the prison, you feel like, okay, yeah, this is like real progression. Like, okay, he's really learning. He's really doing his thing and he's really like figuring it out. And I thought that was so cool. And like, he's really building relationships in there. The other thing that they do that's really cool is while he's in prison and even when he's just kind of like before that, I think a really clever way that they found of showing the passage of time is when we break away from his character and we see what other people are doing, then when it comes back to him, it's more obvious that time has passed. It's more obvious that he's been there for a while. It's more obvious that, you know, things have been getting gritty. And it's really cool. Like everything that unfolds with him, you know, talking the main boss guy who's played by, you know, the actor who played Gollum. I wish I could remember his name. Andy Serkis. There you go. He's played by Andy Serkis. And Andy Serkis has this thing that he does where like, even when he plays Marvel characters, you're kind of like, wow, what a dickhead, but you also still kind of like him. But then when he does do something good or cool, you're just like, you're happy to cheer for him too. Andy Serkis is just such a lovable actor in my eyes. He can do no wrong. But yeah, so that's all done really well. Cassian has a friend named Bix, and I feel like maybe there's a little bit of some romance in the past and kind of currently, I don't know. But cool thing, again, that happens with her and really just with everybody in the show is all the characters are written very realistically. So Bix kind of has a chip on her shoulder about certain things that Cassian does. And, you know, she's not really a Mary Sue. She doesn't have all the answers and get out of trouble and never, you know, she never struggles or suffers. She struggles and she suffers a lot. And, you know, one of the first things that happens and one of my favorite exchanges in the show is her ex-boyfriend basically, well, it's her boyfriend at the time, but it becomes her ex-boyfriend for obvious reasons to anybody who's seen the show. But her boyfriend basically sells out Cassian. I don't know if he was jealous or whatever it is, but he sells out Cassian and brings guards to town. And the guards, while trying to like rustle up Andor and all these people, basically wind up killing her boyfriend Tim, who, you know, originally ratted Cassian out. And this exchange happens between Cassian and Bix where, you know, she says something like, basically, you know, you started all this and, you know, a lot of people blame you for what happened. And I kind of do too. And, you know, Cassian, this is, you know, one of the reasons I really like it is because Cassian argues back, you know, which you would do in real life, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a logical person. I'll hear someone's point out, but if you think you're right about something, you know, you make your point back, you know? So he goes, no, your boyfriend did this when he ratted me out. And then she claps back and she's like, no, you started this when you killed 2 guards and then decided to come home and bring it to our doorstep. And I was like, oh, she's got a bit of a point there. Like, all right, you know, like you can see both sides. It's really cool. And yeah, she spends this long time also kind of being tortured in her own kind of prison, and she doesn't save herself. Cassian saves her. And it's this really cool escape where you're just kind of like the whole time just kind of like, please let them get the hell out of Dodge. Like they really deserve, both of them deserve to just get away from this. And I think that's really kind of the thing about Andor the whole way through. They do a really good job at getting you to be in those moments and feel like everything that happens is earned. You're just kind of like, as each story beats happen, you're like, oh, come on, please. The action scenes are tense. The drama is tense. The other thing I really enjoyed too, and I, you know, I'm curious to hear everybody in the comments, please. The thing I really enjoyed about the show, and I don't know if maybe I'm not saying it right or if how people will feel about it, but I feel like Andor isn't just one genre, or maybe it is, I don't know. It feels like it touches different dramas. Like it starts off as like a story of a guy who, you know, wrong place, wrong time, and then it becomes like on the run kind of story, and then it becomes a political what's it become? It becomes like a political espionage drama, right? When you get Mon Mothma's story and all the things she's doing and like the noose getting tighter around her neck with all the stuff that's going on with the Empire. Then you get a prison break story. You get a rebellion story. You get a drama, like real tense action drama. And it hits each of those beats in a way where you feel like, wow, they did a really good job and none of the meat was sacrificed. You know, like they didn't really sacrifice anything like of substance to make that happen. They did it really well. Even stuff with like Mon Mothma never felt like it was detracting from the main story, just because how fun it was and like thrilling it was to be in her shoes, watching her have to like set up these daily routine meetings that look normal, watching her deal with a husband who's like pro Empire, watching her deal with a bratty, annoying ass little daughter, you know, and her family is so set in their ways that they're okay with it. And the thing about that is when she goes to the Senate, you see that people in the Empire, a lot of them are willing to just be okay with what's going on in the Empire because they're living the good life, which, you know, I'm sure Americans can relate to. Just a wonderful story. The only thing I think felt kind of dumb to me or didn't make sense was Cassian's mom doesn't leave with him when he gets the money, and she like picks up a gun and it's like, I'm gonna stay a rebel or whatever. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're too old for that. And then literally the next time you see her, it's like she's wheezing, can barely breathe, she's dying. And I'm like, well, if you had just left with him, you'd be on a warm planet, you know, kicked up, living good, and you'd be straight. And he probably wouldn't be in jail because he probably would have went further than where he went. But yeah, so there's not very many things about the show that I disliked. I think, yeah, it's hard to nail down anything. Oh, you know what else? There's also, I missed a point here. There's also a heist drama tied into the story. You also get to go on like a bank heist action story that's really cool. And that's also in the story. It's like there's so many different aspects. Basically, Andor is a really good show. I know I said a lot, and, you know, but hopefully if you are the type of person that you don't care about spoilers, hopefully that inspires you to actually give it a shot, because it actually is worthwhile. Every character is written very well. They are very realistic. They make tough choices. Even Luthen, who's like one of the like head spy guys that's running things and coordinating things, you can see that he's making choices at the sacrifice of his own conscience, and that's really weighing on him. And I think that's really awesome to see. So basically, yeah, I highly recommend Andor. Definitely give Andor a shot. I don't have things to complain about. I really don't. It's a fun show to watch. There are very few things that really annoyed me. And honestly, the only one I can really think of is the flashbacks. The flashbacks are kind of annoying, but they stop after like episode 3 or 4. There's a really cool side story with one of the inspectors who's, you know, leading the charge of inspecting what's, you know, who killed the 2 guards. And then that leads to another inspector in the Empire who's higher up and even more of a hard ass than the chief inspector guy. And then you see like their paths cross, and that becomes a whole thing. And it's just, it's a fun ride to go on, you know? And if I didn't say it enough, I'll say it again. The grittiness, the realness, watching things not work out for Cassian and then watching him pull through is very, very exhilarating and thrilling. And it's a breath of fresh air from shows like Ahsoka, where Sabine can get stabbed and Ahsoka crosses her arms and things just work out for them. Andor is the exact opposite. Shit doesn't work out for him. He gets his ass beat. His friends get their ass beat. It does a really good job at making you feel like, okay, yeah, rebellion is necessary. There's real oppression going on. People are really losing things and sacrificing stuff every day. Every day, something's being sacrificed. Troopers are stepping on someone's neck. Someone's betraying someone close to them or they thought was close to them. It's just a very wild ride. And honestly, at first I was like, damn, 12 episodes? By the 12th episode, I was like, this is one of those shows, kind of like old school Star Trek, where I'm like, if it was back in the day and this was like 20, 25 episodes, I'd be really happy, because I'm like, all right, cool. Like, this is really good. Even just, I know I'm basically saying the same things again, but man, it was just fun. It was really fun. Even the Mon Mothma stuff that you'd think would be boring, like watching her be political and stuff like that, it's really good. So please check out Andor if you haven't given it a chance, because Star Wars has been taking a shit in a brown paper bag, lighting it on fire, and putting it on your doorstep.
Nice piece of shit.
My, oh my, wait till old man Clemens realizes it's a bag of shit.
He gonna shit when he realizes it's shit. Who got the lighter?
Who the hell is it? What do you want? Judas Priest Barber is one of those flaming bags again.
Don't put it out with your boots, Tad.
Don't tell me my business, devil woman. Call the fire department. This one's out of control. Poop again.
He called the shit poop.
This is the best night of my life.
I'll get you damn kids for this. You're all gonna die.
This is not one of those, okay? This is one of the good ones, which is rare. Now, before anyone asks, yes, I've seen Star Wars Outlaws. No, I'm not going to buy it unless it comes with Xbox Game Pass. That's the only way I'll do a review on it. I have no interest in buying that game, and yeah. But thanks, everybody. I appreciate you watching this review. I hope it was fun for you and you enjoyed it. If it wasn't and you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you giving it a chance. Hopefully one of the other videos or a future video is more along the lines of something you like. And if you have any suggestions or feedback or want to talk about Star Wars, do so in the comments. I do pop in there every now and then and talk to people, so please feel free to say whatever. Obviously don't be crazy in the comments, but yeah, thanks for coming by. I'll check you guys out in the next review. Peace.